friends, Krista here. Thanks for stopping by Books and Jams. Today we're going to be talking about the 4 books that I said would be 5-star predictions. I thought these 4 books would be 5-star reads, and I have now completed all 4 of them. We're going to talk about if I was right or not. So first up on the list, I had the list of suspicious things by Jean Godfrey, When the Cranes Fly South by Lisa Ridson, The Long March Home by Marcus Brotherton and Tosca Lee, and The Quiet Librarian by Alan Eskins. What do you think? Did I give them all 5 stars? The answer is no. I apologize for the light. We're at a time of day where the light just comes in this window wonky tonky. I'm trying to block some of it with my computer. I stacked it up on some books, but still we're fighting the light today. I'm going to go from my least favorite to my favorite, but I will say the lowest I gave these was 4 stars. I really enjoyed these books overall. So first up, we have the list of suspicious things by Jean Godfrey. Hard to say that title for some reason. But in this one, we follow through the eyes of a little 12-year-old or 11-year-old girl who lives in Yorkshire, England. And her family is thinking about moving away because of the Yorkshire Ripper, which is a serial killer around the time of this book. I think it's 1970s. In England. So we follow this young girl who really only has one friend, but she is not wanting to move away. She does not want to leave her friend. They're very good friends. So she decides with her friend that they're going to watch people very carefully and make a list of anybody who is acting suspicious. Throughout the course of the book, they discover a lot of things about the people in their circle, in their world, in their little town. And things get brought up like grief and mental illness and racism. And these girls just learn a lot about the people in their world. It was a coming of age story of sorts. It's a mystery of sorts, but it was a little bit slower paced than I normally like. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. It was a little bleak. It was a little sad. It was a little bittersweet, but I did like the friendship Miv has with Shannon. And I thought that she was the precocious little girl who was willing to change her mind and learn about the people around her. So it was an enjoyable read. But not a new favorite. Next up is the one that I just recently finished, and that's When the Cranes, here we'll put it back here, When the Cranes Fly South by Lisa Ridson. This one is all the things that I love in a book. It's an older main character, Beau, who's reflecting on his life. It's kind of told through him writing letters or talking to his wife who is in a care home because she is experiencing dementia. Pretty extreme dementia. And he himself, Beau, is at the end of his life. And he has this dog that he loves, Sixten, and his son is trying to move the dog somewhere else because he doesn't believe that his dad is able to care for this dog anymore. And it's very distressing for our main character. It's very distressing for Beau. This book delves into aging and end of life and loss and grief and love and family and friendship and the love of a pet. It really does talk about the quality of life and what's important at the end of life. I really did like it, and I gave this one 4 stars as well. However, it was a little slower paced. It was a very quiet novel. It's translated from Swedish. Alice Menzies is the translator for this one. I think it was a really good read, very thought-provoking and thoughtful. And I think if you haven't yet read Being Mortal by Atul Gawande is a nonfiction book about aging and end of life and care and what's important at end of life and questions that you should ask as your parents or loved ones are getting to that stage or as we're getting to that stage ourselves. It just is a really thought-provoking and thoughtful book about aging and the end of life. It had a very beautiful ending, not unexpected, but sad nonetheless. It was a beautiful story. And I really enjoyed reading that one, but it was not quite 5 stars. However, what was 5 stars was The Long March Home by Marcus Brotherton and Tosca Lee. I don't think that this is a perfect book by any means, but I was invested in this story. It's a World War II historical fiction that takes place on the Pacific Front. So we're in the Philippines and we follow these 3 friends, Jimmy, Hank, and Billy, mostly from the perspective of Jimmy. And we learn about their drama as they are in the Philippines and they have to participate in the Bataan Death March, which is where soldiers were marched from their forts or whatever to to Japanese prisoner of war camps. This one gets into the nitty-gritty of war, of the torture that many of these soldiers experienced, of battles, and doesn't hold back any punches about what it was like for these men. That hardness, that difficulty of reading those wartime stories was interspersed with flashbacks to these three boys and their friendship when they were younger. There's a bit of a love triangle with a young girl from back home, and that plays a big part in the story. It just what had me gripped from beginning to end. I know in reading some reviews, a lot of people didn't feel like the historical elements were told as part of the story, that it was a little bit more info dumpy, but I was invested in this book. I thought the pacing was great. I cried multiple times. I thought the friendship between these three young men, the brotherhood that they developed, was so strong. And I was devastated by some of the things that they had to go through. So yeah, I felt like their stories were real and heartbreaking, and I did give this one 5 stars. I loved it so much. All right, I parked my computer up even higher. You should see the stack. It's a little messy, but it got the lights gone. So finally, the 4th book that I thought would be 5 stars is The Quiet Librarian by Alan Eskins. And I did end up giving this one 5 stars as well. I really, really enjoyed this story. In it, we follow Hana, who is a librarian, unassuming, cardigan wearing, glasses wearing, quiet woman who has a past that we learn about in this book. This one takes place during the Bosnian War, and it was super interesting to read about, to learn about. It's a war that happened in my lifetime. I was in high school during the Bosnian War and ended up knowing a friend of mine when I went to Bible college a couple years later. A friend of mine, my roommate actually, is from Croatia, but she lived in Bosnia for many years. And it's a place I actually got to go visit as well. I've been to Sarajevo in Bosnia 10 years after the war ended. This book was a little bit on the dark side. It was gripping. I thought it was really well paced. I loved the character of Hana and what we learn about her as the story goes on. There's a bit of a mystery in there. Her best friend, Amina, ends up being murdered, and Hana is called upon by the detectives to give her input and share what she might know about Amina's story. And she does know quite a bit. Yeah, Hana herself, as we learn more and more about who she really is and her past, what a strong woman she was. I can't imagine having to walk through some of the stuff she did. But it was a little gritty. It was a bit mysterious. It was intense. And a couple times I'm like, oh, Alan Eskins, you really went there. Which I loved. So I thought this was a fantastic read. I gave it 5 stars, and I'm so glad that I read it. And I hope that if you pick it up, that you will enjoy it as much as I did. Just know that it is pretty dark and gritty at times, and it goes there. But yeah, I was surprised in the best kind of way about Hana's story, but also heartbroken for her of all that she had to go through. But then I was like, go girl. With some of the ways that she decided to handle her experiences in her past. Crazy. So good. So I think I did pretty good overall. 2 5 stars and 2 4 stars. I'm not too sad about that. I think all 4 of these were really fantastic reads, and I look forward to picking out some more. I haven't chosen them yet, so I'm not going to include them in this video, but let me know if you've read The List of Suspicious Things, When the Cranes Fly South, Long March Home, or The Quiet Librarian, and how did you feel about those reads? I'd love to chat with you about those and in the comments down below, or about anything else. I love chatting with you down there. What's one of your most recent 5-star reads? I would love to hear that. And if you've made it to the end, but you're not feeling really chatty today, thank you so much for being here and spending some of your time with me. Put a little dog emoji. A dog plays a big part in When the Cranes Fly South. Put a little dog emoji in the comments down below just to let me know that you were here. I really appreciate all of the time that you spend watching and supporting my channel. You guys are simply the best, and I am so thankful. That's all for me today. I look forward to talking with you in another video very soon. Bye.